Hi everyone, and welcome back to Life Unfiltered. This is the start of season 2. 2026 is going to be incredible. I've just had the most incredible conversation with Shalini, who will talk you through everything to do with how to change yourself. I think this year we're really going to focus on going inside and changing ourselves to make sure that we have a better year and a better decade. Shalini will talk to you about money, she'll talk to you about relationships, she'll talk to you about if you're feeling stuck, about manifesting, and everything in between. This is probably one of the best episodes I've ever recorded. Welcome to Life Unfiltered. Shalini, welcome to Life Unfiltered.
Thank you so much.
It's a real pleasure. I think I've been trying to get you on the podcast for some time, and finally we got to align on this on the new year. So I think the timing is perfect. So we'll just kick straight into it. I think for me, actually, you know what? Let's not kick straight into it. How's your new year been so far?
Oh, it's been so exciting because, Fozia, in fact, this is one of the things I wanted to mention today, that for me, 2026 has come with a message of expansion and ascension. And I think this was one of the signs, you getting me on the podcast, and I'm very excited to be here and share my message with all of you.
Yeah, I feel like this year started off a little bit different. Like, I feel like I was very ready for the end of last year, and I was very productive. There's a lot of things that happened. The podcast started, which was amazing. I had some phenomenal guests, but the end of the last year felt really heavy for me. I don't know if it was just energetic, things with work, personal life. There was just a heavy energy. And it felt like I went to sleep on the 31st and I woke up feeling completely different. Like, I don't know if it makes sense, but I have been listening to a lot of astrological stuff, and it says this is going to be a phenomenal year.
Absolutely. So this is the year that catches the momentum. And I think why you felt the heaviness was because 2025 was largely a year of shedding off. You might have heard about that as well.
Yeah.
There was the whole snake and the horse concept, and
Yes,
you might have heard about
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like before I even heard about the concept, I was feeling the same way. I felt like I shed off a lot of my old identity. And last week of December just came up with so much excitement. And, I was like, oh my God, 2026, I can just feel the expansion and the ascension. And that's what I told my community. Yeah. So I have a WhatsApp community, people who work with me, people who love to work with me. And that's what I wrote to them. And it came from such an inspired place. It's not something that I read anywhere. It just happened that, oh my God, 2026 is going to be huge. And this is when I will be giving out my messages to so many people. And I can't wait. So thank you again.
So there you go. That's
Yes.
the perfect alignment. So that being said, what can people expect to learn from this particular podcast? So if they sit, they listen to us, what are they going to learn from Shalini today?
I love that question. So what I would say is that, a lot of people have been struggling, right? And I've just spoken about expansion and ascension. And I want everybody to know that this is your year, but it's up to you to be in charge. And that's what we are going to talk about. How do we be in charge? Because we've all been taking action. We've all been using strategies. But what is it that really leads you to the results, the outcomes, the kind of life that you want to live? And that's what we'll be talking about today.
That's interesting, because I think I just worked with some of my friends beginning of this year on a vision board. And there's so much stuff on the vision board, and sometimes I get to the end of the year and I look at it and I'm like, okay, I've hit maybe 3 or 4 out of the 8 things.
That's great.
But I'm hoping that you're going to get us to the 8 things, maybe the 10, the 2 that are not even on the list.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you come about? What have you done? You've got into this new space. I don't know if it's new, to be honest, but you've got into this space of your own kind of business, your own entrepreneurship. Like, tell us a little bit about your life journey.
Absolutely. So, I've been working in the corporate world prior to what I'm doing. And I come from a family background that was pretty financially humble. And, we had a culture of working hard, just getting a job, don't have your own business because money is not guaranteed when you're working for somebody. And, my dad, he lost his business in a fire when I was about 8 years old. And that's where the whole conditioning came from, the whole beliefs and the patterns came from. But that wasn't his fault because he was just trying to protect us. Right. So, I studied here in Nairobi. I got a job. I got several jobs after that. And the reason for that was very interesting. Now, this is what very good interesting is that I was always an A student in school. In between my career, I got an MBA. but I never really earned what I wanted. And I was not happy in the corporate world. I felt like I was sacrificing myself too much for the amount of money that I was earning. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, because even in business, I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel like they're giving a lot of themselves away in exchange for the amount of money. I mean, you've heard all these people out there saying that you must go through failure in order to succeed. You must work hard. You must put in the hours. You must do XYZ, right? And this is the narrative that I'm changing, right? And what happened to me is that because I wasn't earning what it is that I wanted, I actually went on to search for answers, because I say that there are people who are equally qualified and they're doing better than me. So what is different about them that's not clicking for me? And that's when, in about 2021, this was after several years of searching. So I started my search in 2014. And it's only after about 7 years that I came across my mentor, Bob Proctor. And I only met him online. I've never met him in person. And he absolutely changed my life, because that's when he introduced this concept to me, where he said that, Shalini, your life is in your hands. You are in charge. There is no external that can determine where you're headed in life. So you can earn more with less struggle. And that's where my journey began. And, I enrolled with him. I wanted to become a Procter Gallagher consultant, and I didn't have the money for it because it needed an investment of $30,000. And after doing the inner work with him, that's when things shifted, and the whole practice just landed on my lap.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to take you back a little bit. So you met him online and you did inner work so you did it with him like
In a group, but
Okay,
directly with
okay.
him, yes.
Wow. And so
Yes.
you weren't even a Gallagher practitioner at that time, or you weren't training to be it. You were just doing work with him on your inner self, on changing how you think, how you feel. That's really interesting, because I think Bob Proctor is amazing.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why I think a few years ago I came to listen to one of your talks.
Yeah.
I've listened to a lot of his stuff online. I think he's phenomenal. That is really interesting. Can you go a little bit deeper into, what exactly you learned from him? Maybe give us a little bit of a overview of, what kind of things did he teach you? What did he tell you?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. So, a lot of us, I said earlier, a lot of us are taking action, right? But we are not always getting to where we want. Now, a very good example is in business, for instance. You might be you might be copying your competitor's strategy, but you might not be doing as well as them. You might be the same market, same products, you have access to all the same resources. Your strategy is the same because you feel like, okay, a person is using this, so I can also prosper with the same thing. You may not prosper as much as them. So this is where Bob taught me what the difference is. So what he told me is that, Shalini, you first have to understand, who you are and how you operate. That is the basics of what you have to understand prior to you succeeding in your life. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, but they're called unconscious competence. They're just naturally succeeding because they have that element in them. So I'm just going to take you through the structure.
So wait, 1 second. So we were saying that he teaches you who you are and how you think.
Yeah, how
So
you operate.
How you operate.
Yeah.
And that comes with a lot of conditioning, I'm assuming. right?
Absolutely.
'Cause as kids, and it's funny because you said about the whole thing about, your parents saying that going into entrepreneurship or owning your own business is not the right way to go. And I got that. And it's strange because my dad is an entrepreneur and my grandfather was an entrepreneur.
Wow.
But I was conditioned to go and get a job and earn money.
Wow.
So I didn't even have the same, for me, it was very different. And for me, I would look at them and say, wait a second, why are you telling me to have a job when you're entrepreneurs? And
business.
I had the entrepreneur bug or blood
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
I've opened 4 or 5 businesses of my own. And underneath all of that, like I would open a business and then I would get that thing that, but you should have a job. You should be earning money. And then I would go and get a job and then I'd say, I'm not fulfilled here. I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't me. And then I'd go back and open my own business again. And then I'd do that for a little while. But, I'm not making enough money here. I should be earning more. I don't feel financially stable. Then I'd go back to getting a job. And I've played this game with myself for like 20 years now.
Oh, that's long.
Yes. So again, this is a great conversation for people who are out there, who are entrepreneurs or who have that mindset, that business mindset, and are feeling a little bit stuck in, if I leave my job, what if I don't earn enough in my business? And so maybe this is going to shift how people feel about that.
Absolutely. So first of all, I want everybody to know that you can do and get anything that you want, because I'm a living example of that. Seeing that I come from a financially challenged background, $30,000 is really not a lot of money, and I didn't have it.
Oh, so much
Like
money for me even right now.
yeah, it's not a
It's actually
chore.
quite a bit of money
Yeah,
for people who are not from an affluent family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So at that time, I didn't even have that money. And after doing the inner work, the practice literally landed on my lap. So I got connected to some lady, through another lady. They connected with Bob Proctor's top level people, and they actually just gave it to me. They said that we want you to be the voice in Africa for us. And I was mind blown. I said, how did this happen? That's not a miracle. It's because I worked on myself.
Right.
So this is what I want everybody to know, that you hold the power. Now, what does that really mean? So now maybe I can explain to
Yeah,
you
please.
the stages, you know,
Absolutely.
in what we operate. Now, I want us to understand now, you know, when we're building a house or building any sort of a building, when we talk about a construction project, what do we start with? We start with the foundation. And then ultimately we get to the ceiling and the roof and we complete the building, right? Now, what's happening with people nowadays is in their life, they want to start with the roof and then go into the foundation. Some people don't even go into the foundation. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, when we are operating on a day-to-day basis. So we operate on 4 levels. So there's the action. So,
Okay,
you
wait,
know,
I think people need to write this down. And I wish I had a pen and paper. I'm going to get my team to write it down for me. Okay, 4 stages.
yes.
Action.
So action comes at the top. So that's like the roof. But that's what most people are doing. They're taking action. They're gathering more knowledge. They're implementing strategies. They say, okay, person A is doing that and succeeded. Let me copy that strategy. Let me copy what they're doing because I'll even succeed. But they don't necessarily get the results. Then the second level of existence is called the conscious mind.
Okay, so second one is conscious mind.
Yes. Now, the conscious mind is also known as your intellectual mind. And this is where you take in information from the environment first through your senses. So, you know, right now we are having a conversation. So you're listening to me. The information I'm giving you is going into you through your conscious mind, which is also known as the intellectual mind. Now, interestingly, your conscious mind only has a 5% impact on your results.
Wow.
And this is why getting a degree, another qualification doesn't necessarily help. It might give you a temporary hike in your salary. That happened to me. But again, I stagnated. I plateaued. See what happened? So this is what I try and tell people, that getting more degrees, more qualifications may not necessarily, yes, they can help you because you become more employable, you become more marketable. But what happens to the actual outcomes in the long term?
Right.
They don't
But
necessarily
there's things
change.
that are underneath all of that.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm coming to. Thank you for prompting that. So after the conscious mind, we have something called the subconscious.
Yes.
Now, your subconscious mind is, you know, the habits, you know, that you have, and some of the patterns that you have that are actually determining what's happening in your life. For instance, you know how you said that, or rather how I said, because I think you had some conditioning where you said that you should have a job. Mine was complete skewed towards that side because of my parents' experience. So that was in my subconscious mind, that I should never have a business. It should simply be a job so that money is guaranteed, right? And your subconscious mind has a 95% impact on all your outcomes.
Absolutely.
Now-
Because what you say and how you feel are 2 different things.
Exactly.
And so what you've conditioned to feel, but on the outside, like I could be the most, I don't know, confident person.
Yes.
But what is it that's sitting deep down inside as I grew up and I wasn't given that confidence, or my parents didn't do this, or my, you know, siblings didn't do this, or my, that's all, or my teachers, like it goes as deep as that. Like you can
Absolutely.
be influenced by your high school or your preschool teachers.
Absolutely.
So if you have those little nuggets or that conditioning from childhood, then whatever you perceive from the outside is not what you actually feel in the inside.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I did a lot of Bob Proctor's meditations over the years that train to go into your subconscious.
Yeah.
And to change it from there.
Yes.
So whether it's, you know, how I feel about abundance, about making money, all of that, it was trying to change that subconscious mind so that whatever comes out from the conscious matches the subconscious.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for that, because as you said, it's what you're feeling. So your subconscious mind is equal to your emotional mind. But there's another layer deeper than that.
Yeah, because there's
And-
4.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I went digging deeper after learning about the subconscious mind. And what I learned was that there's something called an energetic blueprint that we all have. Now, I want you to understand. So I'm just going to differentiate between the subconscious and the energetic blueprint. So the subconscious is the one that says that I will become a millionaire, right? I will do this, I will do that. You know, we do affirmations, we do vision boards, visualizations. All that is at the subconscious level. But have you noticed how, as you just said, that maybe out of the 8 things I had, I achieved 3 of them. So what happened to the other 5? I mean, 3 is great because there are people who don't even achieve anything, right? So I was actually quite intrigued to hear that you achieved 3. That was amazing. How do we now go to the complete root, now to the foundation? Because the action is like the roof of the house. So people are trying to start building their life from the roof, meaning they're taking action without going into the foundation, which is the energetic blueprint. So the energetic blueprint is your DNA, it's who you are. So here I am trying to say affirmations, doing all the vision boards, the visualizations, I'm trying to change my habits by taking action, by gathering knowledge through the conscious mind. But until you don't get to the energetic blueprint, there is nothing that actually changes in your life. Now, what is the energetic blueprint? Let me try and explain to you. I'll do my best. So, we all know that we are spirits having a human experience. I'm not sure, if everybody here believes in that, but ultimately that's what it is. Now, think of an energy band circling your spirit, right? So this is you, the small spirit, and there's an energy band, circling you. And then there's the subconscious, the conscious, and then you take action externally in the physical. So you are working on your subconscious, you are gathering information through your conscious mind, but until you don't work on that energy band that's circling you. Now, what does that energy band do, Foizia? What it does is it creates a quantum field around you. Your quantum field, through the power of frequency, shapes your reality. And if you are somebody who's struggling with money, if you are struggling in your health, your relationships, whatever it is that is not looking very good or you're struggling with in your life, you need to touch that energetic blueprint. This is exactly what you need to work on, because your energetic blueprint is a direct reflection of what you are tuned into. Now, we are subscribed to so many things in our life we don't even know. Think of social media. How many pages, accounts, handles do you follow, right? We just go clicking, follow, like, whatever it is. And think about, I'll give you an example of debt. Like somebody who's in debt, they are subscribed to the debt consciousness from an energetic perspective.
So maybe not even yes, it's not even subconscious. It's not, it goes deeper than that.
Absolutely.
But so before we go on, how do we understand a little bit more about that energetic field? So I think we've all been taught what's the conscious, what's the subconscious, work on your subconscious. That's where the band of, let's say, where your traumas live, where you feel the things that you feel, the things that are blocking you. But if you're saying that there's a level deeper than that, your energetic footprint, how do you know that? First of all, can we explain to people how they know that exists?
Yes.
The existence of that energetic footprint.
So your energetic
blueprint.
You can say this, you can use the word synonymously. It doesn't really matter. So your energetic blueprint is stored in your body as sensations. Now, when I came here, I was so excited, right, to see the place. That means it's aligned with, my blueprint aligns with. But let's say the minute I came here and I felt some sort of discomfort, that means there was, let's say if I felt a discomfort on my upper back or on my chest or on my solar plexus, in my belly, people feel discomfort at different points in their bodies. That means there is some pattern that I am holding in my energetic blueprint that does not resonate with me in terms of this context. So there is something that's creating a misalignment. And what I need to do is I simply need to release it. It's a very simple process. So there are various ways in which you can shift this energetic blueprint. So there's a way of releasing, and then there's a way of retuning into the right frequency, all right, at an energetic level. Because when we do it from a thought process, we are not going into our energetic blueprint.
Right.
That is the truth.
So you can only release it on an energetic level.
Absolutely.
So it's not a thought level.
No, it's not a thought level.
Is this anything to do with, so Michael Singer in his book, Untethered Soul, talks about samskaras. So these are energetic, they're like energy bubbles. That if you've felt something, if something has created some sort of an emotion, a negative emotion, instead of releasing it, you push it down.
There you go.
And then what it does is that it just builds level and layers and layers and layers of this energy of these samskaras. And then you'll be so you said the space, but I'll be walking down the street and I'll see a car that resembles, let's say, an ex's car. And then that energy bubble comes up and you feel that discomfort, mainly in your heart, your throat, this area here.
Absolutely.
And then there's two things you can do. Either you push it down and say, I don't want to deal with this right now. Go back down and stay in that space where it feels less uncomfortable, or you let it come up and now let you take over from here, because I'm assuming that this is the same thing that you're saying, is that energetically you need to let it go.
Yes, you need to process it.
Yes.
You need to acknowledge it first and then process it and then release it. So that's the process
So
of
maybe give us a
actually-
little bit of a step-by-step on how we can do that.
Yeah, sure. So that's very easy. So, we're always getting triggered, right? In our lives. So, for instance, if you have a fight with a close one, now your closest ones are the biggest triggers in
Of
your
course.
life, right? So, let's say if you have a fight with somebody and they say something that makes you feel extremely uncomfortable, or you feel like, you're getting to the point where you're just going to like drop. You feel like, oh my God, this is so draining. And let's say, so for me, I'm very sensitive on my stomach, solar plexus, and chest. All right. So those are the 3 areas for me. So nowadays it's been a lot on the chest. So for example, if you feel that discomfort or heaviness in the chest, what you simply do is, and you can do this anywhere, by the way, because you don't even have to close your eyes, especially after your experience with the process. It's very simple. Just simply say that, okay, I recognize it. I know that it's here. It's okay for you to be here. First, you've got to accept the feeling, because you can't just release it without
Right.
accepting it, right?
Exactly.
First, you say that it's okay. I feel you. I know you're here. It's okay for you to be there. And then just breathe into it, into that particular area. So in this case, the chest or the heart, wherever it's happening. And then just say that, okay, now it's okay for me to release this. It's okay for you to go. It's okay for you to leave me. And then, just imaginarily. So I'm a very visual person. Now, people imagine different things. For some people, they like imagining it as burning it down, like literally they imagine a
Right.
fire burning it. For me, what works is the feeling going as a white cloud, and it exits my heart space or my chest space. So I just feel it, and I literally feel that relief.
Yeah.
And what's important here, Fozia, to mention is that you must keep doing this at every stage in your life. Like, let's say if I came into this building and, I had a bit of feedback for you in regards to how the building is and the street and everything. So, but that didn't make me uncomfortable. Let's say it did. So immediately I felt a sensation. I should just do that on the spot, right?
But I love the fact that it doesn't have to be a traumatic, or it doesn't have to be an argument, for example, that you have with a loved one.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to
it
be
can be
a
anything.
traumatic event.
No.
It can just be the slightest bit of something that creates a little bit of discomfort, or even the thought. You can then apply this method
Yes.
of release, and it goes away.
Yes.
And I think some of us are just so comfortable with living with this discomfort.
Yes.
Like, I'm driving in traffic. Okay, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm going to be in traffic and someone just cut me off, and I'm just going to be irritated, and I'll work through the irritation, and I give myself a pat in the back, because I'm like, oh, I used to have road rage before, and this irritation would last 2 hours, and now it only lasts 2 minutes, but it doesn't even need to last 2 minutes.
No.
So
Because the emotion has been impressed.
Yeah. And I love that. Like,
Yeah.
because I feel like any of these samskars that I let go of, they're always heavy energies. Like, they always have to do with something to do with heartbreak, or, my parents, or my siblings, or actually not my siblings. I love them to bits, but there's always something that feels like it needs to be a big thing in order for me to release it.
No.
You're telling me that it can be
Anything.
the slightest little thing.
Yeah.
Like even my computer dying when I'm in the middle of a call.
Yeah. So I just want to talk
that's
about that.
great.
Thank you for bringing that up. So see, this is how the energetic blueprint works. It's your energetic DNA. It's what you're subscribed to, literally, Fozia. Like, as you said, if your computer dies, that means energetically, unconsciously, you are subscribed to that idea that you will have a difficult time with regards to your computer, your software, your
I
traffic.
missed a call, and
Yeah.
or I'm on a Zoom call, or a Teams call,
Yeah.
and that's a work call, and I'm in the middle of something, and I use that as my own self-worth, maybe. Like, I'm
Yes.
telling myself that if I didn't complete this call, now I'm going to be judged by my colleagues.
Yeah.
So there's, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not just a computer dying.
Yeah.
It's what is the root of that irritation? Because if the computer
There you
just
go.
died,
Yeah.
I wouldn't get irritated.
Absolutely.
But obviously there's something in my DNA footprint or blueprint that's making me feel like
Absolutely.
there's something, there's a consequence to this action. And so
Yes.
if you feel like there's a consequence to this, then you go in and you do it. Okay, so I'm going to make you just walk us through that again. So I feel discomfort in my stomach. So
Yeah.
I'm going to use that as
Yeah,
an
sure.
example. So do you put your hand on your stomach, or do you
You
give?
don't have to, but
Okay,
if you
I
think
like to
that's
do
going to
the
work
physical.
better,
Yeah,
that's
You
fine.
put your hand on your stomach. So maybe everyone out there can either put your hand on your heart or on your stomach, and say, I think the most important thing you said was accept it.
Yeah, acknowledge it and
Acknowledge
accept it.
and accept. So I acknowledge that my computer died. It doesn't feel like it's a very good example, but I'm going to use it anyway. I acknowledge that my computer died, that I feel like there's a consequence to this, to what just happened. I accept it and I release it.
Yeah, I
Something
accept
like
it.
that?
Yeah, you can say that I accept it. I know I feel that you're there. I know you're there, and it's okay for you to be here,
Yeah, so it's
right?
acceptance and saying that it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay that I feel this discomfort. I know
Exactly.
you're here. I accept it. You're here for a reason, and I can release you.
Absolutely.
So
And
maybe people can find their own words, and in the comments, maybe some people can share what are the words, and you can share what words you think would really help people. But I love that. I already feel a little bit lighter when doing that. Isn't that crazy?
fantastic. That's amazing.
Yeah, I really do. I feel like, oh, that was kind of
Yeah.
nice.
So the two things I want to talk about, if you don't mind. So look, the release may have to be done multiple times because these are patterns that we have also carried from past births. I know not everybody believes in the concept of rebirth. You do, right?
I have a tattoo that says rebirth.
Oh, amazing. Wow, this is alignment. I really wasn't here by chance, was
No,
I?
you weren't.
So, for those who believe in the idea of rebirth, lineage, we carry these energetic patterns through our lineage and through past life experiences. In fact, that's the conversation I was having with my sister today. And I told her that I think when it comes to something like scarcity of money, I think I have really carried this from many, many, many births because it's
100%,
taking me
I feel
really
the
long to just clear this whole. So I want the audience to know that just because I'm talking about this does not mean that I have not been through my own struggles or I'm not undergoing my own struggles. I have just been selected as a medium to teach this information, right? And I myself am in the process of releasing a lot of these patterns so that I can be a more effective medium to spread this message. Now, as I said, it has to be done repeatedly. So it does not mean that if the discomfort regarding traffic came up today and you release it, it won't come back again
for sure.
tomorrow. Right?
Absolutely,
It could,
yeah.
it could not.
Yeah.
When it does not, you mean you know that the patterns
Pattern
have
has
been
been
released.
broken, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if it does come back, do not judge yourself. This is what I tell my clients. Never judge yourself. Always observe. These things come up to us so that we can observe them and release them, so that we can keep growing in our life. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is, you just mentioned a bit about low self-worth. So that's one of the biggest patterns that most people hold, and they have no idea. And how does this reflect in your life? It's when you negotiate for your salaries. It's what you charge in your business.
Yes.
It's how you interact in your relationships, right? When somebody is belittling you, guess what? It's nothing to do with them.
Person, yeah.
It's to do with you.
Right.
It's because you are subscribed to that energy. That is where it's bringing it in your experience. So this whole idea around shifting the energetic blueprint is to call in a different. Why are you experiencing in your life what you are experiencing right now? It's because energetically you are subscribed to that idea, and so it is coming into your experience.
So
When
you
a
will
client-
attract. You will attract
Yes,
what lives in your blueprint.
there you go.
So if I attract, let's say, an abusive partner,
Yes.
as an example,
Yes, so you're running
I've
an
attracted
abuse
him
pattern.
because I'm running an abuse pattern.
Yes.
And through this blueprint and through what you do, are you telling me that I can now start changing this pattern?
Absolutely.
Like you work with clients one-on-one
Yes.
to help change that pattern, because again, I think the judgment then comes that, but subconsciously and consciously, I've worked on myself.
Yes.
I've released this
Yeah.
abusive relationship or this abusive pattern.
Yeah.
But you haven't, because you haven't gone to step number 4, which is your energetic blueprint, which nobody really talks about.
Absolutely.
And said, I'm still holding this pattern on an energetic level, and that's where you come in to help me release it
Absolutely.
from the core, from the. There's a word my sister uses.
From the base, from the roots.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the root.
To the
root.
roots,
That's
yeah.
the one she uses.
So
Yeah.
see, this is the thing about the subconscious. Like the subconscious will give you results, but I feel like the subconscious is more like a one-time manifestation or a short-term manifestation, and that's been my personal experience. I know it's worked for a lot of people in the long term. For me, what happened is that I realized that my results were not consistent in the long term. So for anybody who's looking for real permanent transformation, real long-term results, please try and get into the energetic blueprint level. And that's exactly where you will see, because I'm a living example of this, So I'll give you an example if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
So I was highly subscribed into the energy of rejection by clients. Fozia is an example. She didn't sign up with me, right? Interestingly. Yeah. So no, that wasn't you. That was me, right? And I learned that over time.
I'm glad you're not blaming me for
No,
it.
of course
I'm
not.
joking. I'm joking.
Absolutely not.
Well, you're here now,
like-
so something's shifted in your
Yes.
energetic level and on footprint and mine. So
I
we
love
aligned,
that.
and we were not supposed to be in that space.
Yeah,
We're supposed to
but
be here talking about
I
this.
love
but
that.
yeah,
So that's just an example, and you're not the only one, right? I've had those experiences,
Sure.
and I didn't know that unconsciously I was subscribed to that rejection stroke scarcity energy. That was what I was following energetically, and that's what kept showing up in my life. So whatever's showing up in your life, really sit down and observe with yourself. So what most people do, Fozia, now we talked about the release through the body. A lot of people are not even connected to their bodies because what are we conditioned to do? Through the conscious mind, we are just intellectually wired to know that, oh, there's a problem, forget about it, just move on to the next thing. We are never taught to sit and observe, bring anything, be with ourselves and bring it to the surface so that we can acknowledge it and release it, acknowledge, process and release it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, you've really got to connect with yourself, sit down with yourself, because this life has become so busy that we haven't gotten the time to sit down with ourselves and just acknowledge, what am I feeling today? What were the events like in my day? What happened that triggered me? How can I just acknowledge, process and release those patterns?
I guess what happens is
Yeah.
during the day when you're getting triggered,
Yeah.
you've kind of pushed it aside.
Absolutely.
And then you've come home from
Yeah.
a long day, which is, I'm a culprit, a very long day from work.
Yeah.
And you come home and you say, I don't really want to relive what happened during my day.
Yes.
So you've pushed it aside during the day. At night, you've made the excuse that I just want to have like some downtime. You maybe sit in front of the TV or you're sitting and scrolling on your phone. And the phone scrolling and the social media is almost like a distraction from what happened during your day. So you're not really dealing with those triggers.
Yes.
You're saying, let them go,
Yeah.
push them away. They don't mean
And
anything
they go
right
into
now.
your deeper layers.
Absolutely. So those are the sanskaras that get pushed down into your solar plex or like below.
Yeah.
And you're just carrying on with your evening. And then the next day comes along and I'm assuming
The same thing repeats.
happens.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't understand. Why did this happen again?
Absolutely. And a very typical example of this, Fozia, is people who are unhappy in the corporate world. Like I've had bosses, who are very mean to me, who'd tell me off, who'd not behave in an appropriate manner with me in terms of communication, right? And I wondered that, so I used to think these people are all bad and mean. And the same person with a different colleague would be very different. So
Gone
this
through that
is
too.
where I learned, right? And I learned that after many years. So for whoever's watching this, you don't have to take this long. Life is precious, right? You have the information now. So realize that you've just got to stop and you have to unsubscribe from that energetic pattern by the process that we just described. And of course that's not the only thing, because how I work with my clients is that I take them into different frequency levels through certain audios that I have, and it's like you have to tune into a completely different frequency to also release it from a deeper energetic level. So this is one of the ways that we learn the body release. And then there's a very very musical way of doing it, right? It's through some certain audios that I give my clients, and this is where the release also happens and the switch happens, because there's a part called the clearing and then there's a part called the activation. So you clear the old and activate the new. So there's also a process behind that.
Okay, I think that's really important to say, because I think, you can say all of this stuff and it's very nice to listen to a podcast where it says that you have to clear your energetic footprint. However, there's someone called Abram Hicks.
Yeah.
I listen to her a lot. And she says, if you're tuned into the radio frequency of 99.9 and you're trying to tune into 103, how do you get there? Because you're already so tuned into this, the radio is not going to just flip itself.
No.
So you actually help people to get from this radio frequency to this radio frequency.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really important, and to release the things that are holding you back. And like I said, a lot of people do a lot of work. Like we go into our subconscious, we do hypnotherapy, we
That's
go for
even
talk
helpful.
therapy.
That's also
Absolutely.
helpful.
I think it's helpful to a certain extent.
Yeah.
However, if there's something that's so inert, you mentioned something really interesting about carrying something from generations, right? Lifetimes of. And I have done, so I believe very strongly in something called ayahuasca, which is a plant medicine. And through my ayahuasca journeys, I have seen myself from generations. So I've seen what I carry.
Yeah.
I've seen that there's trauma and there's feelings or there's perceptions of certain things. I mean, to be open with the audience, which I always am, I've always wondered why I'm not married. So I'm well into, I'm very close to very old. I'm in my late 40s. And for me, it's always been, why am I still not married?
Yeah.
Why did I never find a partner?
Okay.
Why did I never have
Yeah.
kids? And through one of my plant medicine journeys, I saw that the women, the lineage of women in my, what would you call it? Like in my DNA,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
say.
yeah. It is your lineage.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
my ancestors,
yeah, yeah,
the female ancestors in
yeah.
my lineage, they have all been by men.
That was similar to mine. Oh my God. So
Yeah?
I held anger against men until recently I
Yeah.
underwent that whole release.
Right. And
Wow.
for me, it was like
Yeah.
I could see that all of these women were actually trying to protect me from going through what they went through.
Yes.
But I carried that pain for generations. And it was not until in that space I had to ask, let me go through my own journey and let me release this pain now.
Yeah.
And so I went through this whole journey and I released it and all of that. And it was very powerful. But you would never know that you're carrying all of this stuff.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
just
Yeah.
think that, oh, in this world right now,
Yeah.
I'm not married and I don't have kids and I must be a failure and I don't have a, you can make all of these stories. But really, there's a lot more happening in your energetic field that you didn't even know about.
Absolutely. And this is interesting because now, again, for those who believe in the whole rebirth concept, right? You carry this onto your next births until you do not release them.
Absolutely.
So, it becomes it's your DNA, it's your energetic personality, it's your energetic identity. People in this world understand identity as what's my name,
Yeah.
what job do I do, what do I wear,
Right.
what car do I drive, what home do I live in, what kind of social circle I have. No, that's your identity at a conscious level.
Right.
But an energetic level is the results that you see. So if you are somebody who's been trying so hard in your life in any area, right? So I'm also single, right? But I'm not really looking to be in a relationship as such consciously. But if I was somebody who was doing that, but at an energetic level, I did not release those patterns, then I would still be subscribed to those patterns, and then none of my efforts would bear fruit, right? That's what would happen. And it's the same that was happening to me in the corporate world because I was trying to jump. So I jumped about 8 jobs in a span of 15 years. That's a lot, right? So I thought that the next one would get better. I'd have better bosses, I'd have a better pay, etc. But so you're like a walking magnet, right? Because of that energy field circling
Right. So
in.
if you go from here to here, you're still taking that magnet with you.
Thank
so
you.
you're still attracting
the same
exactly
things.
100%.
Right?
And I feel like that. I feel like I've recently started to figure that out.
Yeah, yeah.
That you have a boss that's not very. In case he's watching, no. Right now my boss is great, but in the past I have had that pattern of having bosses that are not quite as nice to me as they are to other people. Let's put it in a polite way. And you see that, okay, but I don't understand. Like, I'm working equally as hard. I'm equally as smart. Like, I don't get why the behavior here is so different to the behavior here. So if you're going through this similar thing and you're having some sort, and it doesn't have to be a boss, it can be a colleague, it can be a relationship, it can be a partner. If you're attracting the same kind of person, the same kind of trauma, the same kind of abuse, then you're the magnet. You're the link you're the common link.
Yeah, and also I want
without being rude, because I don't also want to tell people that you've been in 3 abusive relationships. It's your fault.
It's not your fault.
No, it's not a fault thing. It's that on an energetic level, you're still trying to clear whatever it is that you're holding on to.
Yeah, so never judge yourself. That's a very important thing for you to understand, for whoever's watching, that this is not a judgmental exercise. You've got to observe, because until you do not observe, how can you correct? So you've got to be open to observing first, right? And I want to also say that even if something happens just once, try and release it, because you don't want the same experience to repeat. You might feel like, if I move to a different place, if I, let's say, change homes, something will change. But you might find similar neighbors. You might find a similar landlord, because you're a magnet in motion. Let's put it that way. Or you're a magnet in motion. So when it happens even the first time, something that triggers you in some way, find a way to just release that pattern, to tune into a different frequency. And, everything, the same places that you go to, you'll start having a different experience. And that's exactly the experience that I've been having since I started engaging in this work. Because there are specific restaurants here in Nairobi that my sister and I visit, because, there's food that we like the ambience. So we are subscribed to this certain restaurant. So interestingly, over time, as we started doing this energetic work, prior to that, some of the waiters would be really rude. We'd not get our
Right.
food on time. We'd have a dirty seat to sit on. After we started doing this work, everything has changed.
Wow.
And we just looked at each other and we are like, see what's happening, because
Yeah.
we've released those patterns.
Sure.
So this is it's a very simple and fun example, but this applies to all areas in your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, because money is where people are really, really struggling.
Absolutely.
And money is a big topic for me this year, and I'm just going to be tackling that a lot this year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big topic for a lot of us. You know,
Yes.
I think for me, I go through waves.
Yes.
There's times where I'm a complete money magnet and things are just, abundance is just flowing to me. And then there's times where I'm just like, I don't have a job, I don't have anything, like I've just,
That was me.
I've burnt through all my savings, and then I come back and I
can
get
relate.
and maybe there's a way, if we work with you and if people are feeling the same way, and I would like to work with you, there's no rejection here at all, but to see how do you standardize that, like how do you make it a little bit more comfortable. And if you're going through waves, maybe there's a way that there's something still stuck in that energetic level that says, I'm not worthy, and then I am worthy, and then I'm not worthy, and I am worthy, and then that yo-yo game isn't happening with my abundance lifestyle, in my money world.
Absolutely. So it's just a matter of switching the frequency, but at an energetic level. Look, I want us to understand that action is very important. Working correctly through the conscious mind is very important, because we are awake most of the time, right? 2/3 of the time we are actually awake, and we have to understand a lot of these concepts consciously, so that when we are out in the world dealing with real life problems, we can actually bring this information to the surface and know how to deal with it. But what's actually playing in the background is your energetic DNA. Now, about money, I want people to understand that money is a spiritual idea, right? So like the room we are sitting in, the chair we are sitting on, the hat you're wearing, the clothes I'm wearing, everything was created using the man's mind, and so was money. Now, the only problem is that people are putting money on a pedestal, because money is the primary medium of exchange. So this is the joke I tell my clients, that tomorrow if this chair was made a medium of exchange, you see people having warehouses of this chair, right? Because it becomes the most important thing. But I want you to understand that nothing is more powerful than you, and nothing is more important than you are. Money is not as powerful as you. You are more powerful than money. It's only an idea, and the idea is held in your energetic DNA, in your energetic blueprint.
Wow.
And the patterns, then money is not the problem. I want us to understand that.
Right.
It's the patterns that you're holding.
And maybe the feeling that you have towards money.
Yes, and that comes from your energetic patterns.
Exactly.
Yes.
So exactly what we said,
Yeah.
whether it was about getting a job, but getting a job is still connected to money, right?
Absolutely.
So with my dad, it's not that he was saying get a job.
No, it was
and
about
make
the money.
20 shillings an hour.
No.
It was get a job so that you can be financially stable.
Yes.
And for you, I'm assuming it's the same thing.
It was
about financial stability.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily about just get a job, just to get a job.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be great to just have a fun job on the side. I mean, this is my fun job, just for the record. But yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's like, how do you feel, and what's the energy that you're setting out? I'll give you an interesting example. I'm a bit of a, I need to save, and what happens if I'm not working and I need to put money aside, and like I'm very much like a cautious person when it comes to spending. I have many sisters, but one of my sisters is completely the opposite. I mean, on a whim she'll quit her job, and on a whim she'll be like, okay, I'm going on a trip, and she's very free when it comes to how she feels about money. And see a live example that I'm sitting there thinking, oh, the month's coming to an end. I need to be a little bit careful. I don't want to spend too much. Her month is coming to an end. She's like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow and somebody's going to have sent me money. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works.
It does work like that.
I'm not joking, Shalini. She wakes up in the morning and she has money in her M-Pesa, and I don't understand. I always look at her, I'm like, how did you do that? But it's that feeling. She doesn't have that I'm going to run out feeling.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
She doesn't have that scarcity feeling. She doesn't look at money as like, it's so important. And I do. And I'm always like, oh my God, like I have to put some in savings, and I need to put some in here, and I need to put some there. And like all my money's going in like 10 different places so that I don't use it. And for her, she's so free. And I see how energetically, money just flows
Absolutely.
so easily to her.
Yeah, that's a very clear example because she's simply tuned into that frequency of abundance. It's so
Yeah,
obvious, right? And this is happening from an energetic level, Fozia. So, you might be somebody who's intellectually thinking that yes, money will come to me, but energetically, if you aren't tuned in, then it still would come to you. So the fact that she's actually getting it means she's energetically tuned into that frequency. Now, I just want to mention something, based on the example you gave me, that when you are someone who's always, now saving is not bad, but we change the language here a bit. We say that we are accumulating money, because when we talk about saving money, we are sending out that vibration into the universe that says that you are ready for an emergency. You are getting yourself ready for a time when you will not have money. So this whole,
so you have to save it. It's almost like hoarding.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So now start saying that I'm accumulating money, because that even expands. That's expansion, right?
Money.
So accumulate.
I like that.
Exactly. You accumulate the money. And you talked about inconsistent income, like I was in the same boat, but I also want us to understand that there's something called the law of rhythm when it comes to money. So whatever goes down must come up. So your bank account may also, be in waves sometimes. And the idea behind this is that when you are at a low point in your bank account, you must hold that confidence that it's gone down because it's going to come up. So everything that goes down must come up, and that's how the law of rhythm works.
I hope everyone's listening to this, because this is life-changing for me. So the two things that I'm really going to implement is, it's not a savings anymore. It's an accumulation. So this is my accumulation account, and this is my checking account. The second thing is the rhythm of money. I really like that. The ebb and flow. And that if it goes down, you have to have that confidence that it's going to come up. Absolutely. So I hope people out there can really implement that as soon as your money goes down, don't have that that feeling oh, where is it going to come from next?
In fact, when that comes, use the release process.
The release process.
Yeah, so we have the answers. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is life-changing for me. I knew this was going to be a good podcast. I love it. So maybe you can just give us some examples, if you don't mind. Of course, not using names, but anything that you've seen succeed since you've been doing this work with other people. So we've heard about how good it's been for you, but can you give us any examples for how it's helped others?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting, just this week, because I do the frequency clearings with my clients, the whole energetic work. One of my clients, she's been in debt for a while, so last year she actually lost her job forcefully, like she was let go. And because of this work, she had the confidence to get into her business just within like a week. And within 2 days of launching her business, she actually started getting clients. So that's number one. Number two, the same client.
Because she had done the energy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay. And now this week, so she's on another program with me. So she's been working with me since 2024. So she started out, with a basic program, and then she leveled up. But with every program, she's actually had so many wins, right? Now, just this week, she told me that she's been in debt for a while. And, we went into the whole debt consciousness frequency clearing. And guess what? She received an email on Tuesday from her bank saying that her debt has been waived off by 65%. And she's like, how? I was like, what are you saying? And she waited till the end of the session to tell me that. I was like, you've been waiting all this time, for a whole 1.5 hours? She's like, yeah, I just wanted to tell you. And then she's like, you know what, Shalini, I had to reconfirm this with them 3 times because it seemed so surreal.
Right.
So that is when I told her. So we were trying to figure out that which of the clearings, which of the part of the work helped her. And then we realized it's that consciousness clearing that has actually made this happen. And then I was like, but this is not a miracle. It's because you unsubscribed to the debt consciousness frequency. And guess what? All this time she's been struggling with some level of subconscious work. But when we go into the energetics, this is what happens.
So can you diagnose, for lack of a better word, of things that maybe I have subscribed to? Because I like this word subscribed.
Yeah.
So or not myself particularly, but anybody in my shoes, that I've subscribed to, let's say, not having a relationship. I've subscribed to not having kids. I've subscribed to the lack of money. Like, someone can come to you and have a conversation with you, and can you say, okay, these are the 3 things that I think we need to work on right away?
So look, it can happen with yourself. Just look at your results. Look at the things you wanted to achieve, let's say in the last 2-3 years or 5 years, and you've been struggling with them. That's what you're subscribed to,
Right.
right? You're subscribed to the opposite of what you want. It's very simple.
Okay.
Or alternatively, yes, you can book a discovery call with me, and I can just have a conversation with you. And, just through your story, I'll know
Nice.
where the struggles lie, and that's
Okay.
exactly what you're. It's that
Amazing.
simple.
I think this is life changing. I think people need to do this. I think I'm coming to do it with you. I think I've unsubscribed to a lot of things in my life that I know that I was holding on to for many years. But I think there's a
Congratulations,
few
that's
things
huge.
that there's some very epic things that I'm still subscribed to. So I'd
Okay.
love to work on that.
Yeah.
But I think this is like, I love the fact that it's in your energetic field and it can be cleared.
Yes.
So there's hope.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a lot of hope.
Yeah, in fact, my sister calls it the code. She's like, we've struck a chord
Right.
by knowing that this is how we can do it.
Absolutely.
So, for those, let me just give you some, another insight of mine that
Sure.
I've come to realize is that this whole, the life that we live in is sort of a matrix, right? It's like we've been told that what we see with our physical eyes is the actual reality. But no, what I'm teaching you to do here is to create a different reality. So by working on your energetic blueprint, we're going to shift your quantum field. By changing your quantum field, we change your reality. So don't fall for the failures or the things that are not working right now. That's an illusion, right? But you can do what it is that you want. You can live the kind of life you want. You can get the outcomes that you want by simply shifting the quantum field that exists around you by working on the energetic levels of your being. So you really got to understand who are you and how do you operate. I think it's basically, it comes back to the basics of who we are, isn't it?
Right.
Yes.
This is brilliant. Thank you so much, Shalini. And I hope that you guys got as much out of this podcast as I did. It's been phenomenal. And I think that everyone needs to, we're going to post your handles, your social media handles, and how to get in touch with you. And I really hope that people get in touch and start to just live a better life. It's 2026.
Oh, yes.
If not now,
Yes,
then when?
then when? Absolutely. In fact, that's another message that I want to give out to people is that don't wait for the suffering to get so deep that, you feel like now I'm giving up and now is when I need to do something. Do it now. Don't wait, because what happens is that your brain actually gets wired into believing that this is the norm of living. The suffering is okay, it's normal, it's happening to everybody. Yes, it is happening to everybody, but the truth is that you can come out of it. So what are you doing about it? That's the question.
Amazing. That was Life Unfiltered. Welcome to 2026, everyone. I am so happy you made it this far, and I hope you got out of this episode as much as I did. This was probably one of the most life-changing episodes you'll ever listen to. So please share this with all your friends and family. And if you remember from last season, we're going to give you guys some homework to do every time you listen to an episode. The homework for today is going to be putting your hand on the place where you feel that heavy energy. So if you feel something, if you're having an issue with, let's say, a partner, if you're stuck in traffic, if you feel stuck in life, put your hand over your heart or your stomach. Mine is always my stomach, so I'll give you that as an example. Put your hand on your stomach and close your eyes and feel into that space and really accept what you're going through and tell yourself, I accept the situation for what it is. I accept the situation for what it is, and I gently release it. I hope this is going to make all the difference in the world. Let's release all of that stuck energy and go into the year fresh. Share this. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you at the next episode.